Captain Varady, thank you so much for being here today. You've got a long career in the fire service, lots of experience, but I want to know where it all began. Why did you wake up one day and say, I want to be a firefighter?
Back in high school, I was looking for what I wanted to do. Freshman, sophomore year of high school and stuff, I thought I wanted to be a professional chef. I studied with that and loved cooking. I still love cooking, but there's some restrictions that I had with my dietary stuff, so it wasn't going to be great for being a chef. So I had a lot of restrictions. So I started trying to focus on, I've always had a job. I had a job since I was in kindergarten, paper routes and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up in Ohio in a small community and thought, man, this is a great place to live for the longest time, until I realized that I was a big fish in a little pond. And as I progressed through my high school career, I started a small company with a buddy for snow plowing up in Ohio, which we don't have that down here, but started that. And I was working in construction and had a small company. And I was that big fish in a little pond, and I thought there was just more to life. So I got out of my small town of Ohio. My senior year of high school, I had a Texas flag in my room. I was like, I'm moving to Texas. My oldest sister lives down here. And I was like, man, this is where I want to go. Now, it did help. I did try to get in the fire service up there. I did volunteer through high school at the local fire department, which is a paid-on-call volunteer fire department. Great experience. I actually started with their hydrant project at GPSing hydrants and testing hydrants and helping the department as a high school student. I was in a long government tech class. But 9/11 happened. I was on the Red Cross disaster team. And
you were already down in Texas?
No, I was still in Ohio high school. So graduated in 2004. So realized that I had a bigger calling. I wanted to get out of Ohio. The Ford plant was closing, the steel mill was closing, shipyards closing. A lot of houses went up foreclosure and stuff because Ford workers just moved out. So I realized that I was that big fish in a little pond, and I wanted to be a little fish in a huge pond. So I decided to move to Texas. And so a couple days after graduated high school, I followed that construction company to Colorado to build a house for a few months. But my end after that 3 months, I flew into Texas, had my parents drive down my vehicle and moved here. Once I was here, I tried to work a couple small jobs. I had that calling in the back of my head for public service. One of the main reasons, not only 9/11, but, I chose not to go in the military, which I regret that decision. I think that would have been a great decision for me. But I had to give back to my community. So I chose public service to give back. So I don't think it's comparable between military service and, normal fire department stuff. I think that it helps. I commend the veterans and everything that they've made their sacrifice 4, 6 career longs and stuff. I could never compare myself to them, but I'm going to do the best that I can to give back to my community, like they're giving back to all of us. That's why we get to do everything that we do. So,
yeah. And then at some point you volunteer here in this local area.
Yeah. So when I first came down, I worked or I volunteered at a local fire department. I did have a couple of hiccups in my career as being a young guy and everything. So I moved back to Ohio, regathered my ambitions and, my thoughts and all that kind of stuff. And I moved back down to Texas, a year and a half later after completing a fire school in Ohio. Once I completed that, I came down here and got an apartment right down the road from here, right down from Station 11-1, and walked into a volunteer fire department one day. And we had some old timers there that were sitting in the back of the station behind the truck, like, the old school firemen used to do. And I turned in my application and they said, just show up Tuesday and, you could be a volunteer. So I started showing up every Tuesday and then showing up, showing that I was committed to, putting in the time and stuff. And it was a lot of duty crew guys from Houston that worked up here, part-time. So I was kind of just trying to pay my dues. And after so long of paying my dues, they hired me part-time and then full-time. It's probably a year and a half of being full-time is when we got the notification that the volunteer fire department was being disbanded and the ESD was taking over. So April 1st, 2009, South Montgomery County restructured our whole fire department. And the ESD took over. They hired a new fire chief from Michigan, Chief Hudson, which love Chief Hudson, but I'm not a fan of Michigan at all. I'm a big Ohio State fan. So, knowing that, he's from Michigan, I'm from Ohio, and we're down in Texas. And being down here in Texas and being a Yankee is difficult because, Texas has a certain way of doing things, which we love. That's why we moved here. But bringing those influences from, our hometowns and stuff, it challenged the Texas Fire Service a little bit, the thought processes and the way that we did things. Like here in this area, if you taught a rookie how to, like I was taught how to fight a basement fire, they don't even know what a basement is here. So there's a lot of changes that we brought down, and everyone brings to fire service that you start to morph it. But full time, 2009, the ESD took over. Chief Hudson had a vision. It was a difficult choice for a lot of people to jump on that. I actually fought the thought process of Chief Hudson the first few months, and he brought in a couple guys from the outside that he knew that he built other fire departments with and everything. And they started questioning everything we did. Why do you pull a hose this way? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And my answer was because that's the way we did. And knowing what I know now, as a young guy, it was a hard transition because you're being challenged on the normal way of doing things. So, why do you have this? And, one of the guys he brought in is Adam Moore, which is our current assistant chief. He'd question, and, why are you guys doing that? And it wasn't that he was telling us we were doing it wrong. He wanted us to know the why and get the buy-in from us. We just did it because we were robots, and that's what we were supposed to do. Chief Hudson and Chief Moore now they challenged us. Why do you do this? Why do you respond that way? Why do you pull a hose that way? Why do you fight a fire this way? And a lot of people down here thought it was, they were trying to bring the Yankee way of doing things, but no, they were just trying to make us more well-rounded firemen. And that's something that Chief Hudson and Chief Moore, that's the guys that have been there for a long time. They appreciate that the most from them, because it's not just do as I say. It's here. Let's teach you. Let's let you understand why. And now you have a more bought in personnel working for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the statement you made about, well, that's just the way we've always done it. That's why we do it this way. That's a statement that's so true with so many different things. People find that cycle of comfortability, not realizing there's a better way to deal with that. And especially when we get on the mental health topic.